do you think about this UFO story?
Which one?
There's a story. Can you pull up, Alex? Can you see if you can find the story about? Let's see. How do you look it up? UFO attack Russians.
Oh God.
Basically, UFO allegedly attack some people and turn them to stone. What do you think of this story?
Can I use Newsweek?
Yeah, pull it up. Perfect.
Yeah. We can do the corporate press. Yeah, that's fine.
Let's see.
Absolutely insane.
Turn people
What's
into
happening?
stone.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
When is the story from? Okay, yeah, it did come out a while ago, but it's for some reason circling again. So, a spate of mysterious objects in the sky requiring military intervention has followed on the heels of a similarly unexplained incident in Russia last month. Oh, here's a newer one. On Sunday, the U.S. Air Force downed an unidentified flying object over Lake Huron in Michigan near the Canadian border. The previous day, an object flying over Alaska was shot down. I don't know if this is the right story, actually.
Oh, I don't know.
But try to look up one where it's like about people being turned to stone.
Oh God. Yeah.
I mean, my view of this is that like anything that's like alien or from another world is some sort of demonic projection.
Okay.
It's a demon.
Yeah. I mean, and like a demonic presence can sort of present itself to humans in the stratosphere, in a way that could monkey with your senses.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, like alien. I don't really buy into all
my
that.
perception of aliens has changed in the same way my perception of evolution has changed.
Sure.
I don't think I was considering. Is this so look at this. Alleged CIA report. Russian soldiers turned to stone during UFO interception. All right.
God,
Look at all these ads.
I know. Always.
Yeah.
Get out of
relentless.
here. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan shares a story. Popular podcast host Joe Rogan. I'm surprised they didn't say like far right.
Yeah, far right.
What
right
website is this?
fascist Nazi.
The Jerusalem Post.
Oh, wow. Even more surprising. Popular podcast host Joe Rogan recently shared details from a 250-page report allegedly written by the CIA, shedding light on the incident. The original reports collected by KGB agents. That's a bunch of red flags have gone up already.
There's a lot of...
In the late 1980s were later covered by Ukrainian media and documented in a classified intelligence file in 1993. According to Rogan, the report suggests that a saucer-shaped spacecraft flew low above a Russian army unit during routine training exercises. Then a member of the unit fired a surface-to-air missile, hitting the UFO, and it crashed nearby. 5 humanoid creatures, short in stature with large heads and black eyes, probably like the balloon. Oh, my balloon fell down.
No, it's right behind you.
It's right there.
Oh,
there it is.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm like way off. Then a member of the unit fired a surface. Okay, and it crashed. Okay, I can go down.
What is happening here? This is what it is.
I want you to click more.
Yeah,
Why do they do this?
Yeah.
What's up with websites today? It's just like I'm trying to get a recipe, like the recipe websites.
Oh, I know.
It's like you got to read like 1,000 things of prose to get down to the recipe they stole from some other blog. Okay, according to Rogan, who read the report, the surviving soldiers testified that the aliens merged into a single object. So like a station in Bill and Ted. Right? Remember the two guys become super station, whatever they call themselves? Station. Yeah. They merged into a single object after exiting the spaceship. The object then transformed into a spherical shape, emitting a rapid humming sound. Chris, are you buying this?
No, I'm not buying it at all. No.
What do you think? What do you think? Do you think we're capable of making things like this? I think it's governments that can do this
They turn them
somehow?
into pillars. This actually reminds me of Return to Oz.
Oh,
In
really?
Return to Oz, they turn the people into pillars, into stone.
Is that what happens?
Yeah. Oh, he said that suddenly. Go ahead, right here, this part. Here.
Okay, so he said that suddenly it disintegrated into a brilliant white powder, rapidly expanding in size until it exploded into a blinding light. At that moment, all 23 soldiers watching the phenomenon turned into stone pillars.
Okay, where's the video?
Okay.
Is there a video?
Where's the video?
I mean,
It's quite possible that something supernatural, even supernatural, we can parse that term. There could be problems there.
Yep.
But like, it's quite possible that something supernatural happened. Somebody saw that. They don't have the presence of mind to be able to diagnose what actually happened there.
Right.
In terms of the origin of that, I don't know. I mean,
Could be
like
more of the remote viewing thing, where it's like a war of stories, like
It
a
could be.
psyop to
Yeah.
scare people out of certain things.
Sure.
Because it seems just so, like, why don't we see more of this?
Well, but I was wondering, like, why don't we see more miracles?
Right.
Like, miracles happen.
Right. What's your definition of miracle? We had
Well,
this debate
Shane
on
thinks he
here.
sees a miracle every day. So.
I think
true?
I think being alive is a miracle.
Well, birth is a miracle.
Right.
We could say that. That is true.
Right.
I see.
You mean like the profound,
Yes.
Unparalleled
Yes.
miracle that God performs, like
You're
maybe
dead,
we can
now
pull that
you're
up
alive.
too, actually. Right.
Yeah, yes,
Or
yeah, yeah,
water coming out of a stone.
Do you want me to Google
Right.
God makes?
Oh, we didn't do the
miracles
stone.
happen?
Yeah,
did
we should go back to that real quick because now
Yeah,
we're talking
yeah,
about
yeah.
miracles, and it's about to be we're in Exodus season,
Right.
Okay.
Passover, Good Friday, and the resurrection.
Yeah.
It's all coming up.
Where are we going? Where are we going?
Go to the video of that rock that they say is the rock that Moses.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Can you tell us that story? Like, do you remember it? I know this is on the spot.
So I can't remember what built up to it, but basically Moses was really angry about
Yeah.
something that God mandated, and he struck a rock
Right.
out of anger,
Wasn't
not
it-
out of a directive.
Was it not fighting or something? Were they being attacked at this point?
I can't remember.
I know, I can't
I
remember.
really should have looked into this,
Yeah.
but like, basically Moses, against God's judgment,
Yeah.
struck a rock in anger,
Right.
and he got water
Right. And everyone was able to drink.
out of a rock.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Which is like.
And they're saying that this is the rock.
So yeah, can you pull this up? Let's see what this
here we
guy
go.
says.
Let's go.
Horeb.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, the rock of Horeb.
Oh my
Oh,
God. I
it's
want you
making
to
me do a thing?
make sure you're not a.
What do
let's,
I do?
let's all see
All
if
right,
Alex is a
prove
human or
you're
not.
not a robot.
Alex, you're on the spot.
I have to listen to what I hear.
L P P I
Oh God.
What?
B.
I have never seen one of these
You're
before.
teaching it, Alex.
This is crazy.
I'm deaf.
Failed.
Wait. Do an image.
Is that
Do an
you or
image.
the robot?
Wait, no. What?
Wow.
Okay, God.
P B Y
This is hilarious.
E
What the hell?
H.
Okay. Oh, thank God.
Oh,
Okay.
Alex, we were worried.
Hey, friends and family, we're at the split rock of Horeb. You see those people coming down? This thing is huge.
The vagina.
This is where we think Moses struck the rock, as described in Exodus 17, and a whole bunch of water split the rock and came down in this area. There is water erosion everywhere. We are in the land of Midian, modern-day Saudi Arabia, just a few miles from Jabal el-Lawz, which could be the real Mount Sinai. Go to Exodus 17 to read about what happened here.
Oh, come on.
Can you pull up the Rock of Horeb? So we just get. I want to make sure we get that right. And it's just reminding me of other things in Exodus. I've been thinking about Exodus a lot lately.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find the exact line, but there's that one about
What would you like?
no
exactly?
sorceress should be allowed to live.
Sure.
And
yeah.
that, I'm like, man. And then I'm like thinking about today, like the remote viewing. Is that considered sorcery? Like, is that
course,
witchcraft? I
yeah.
think so.
Yeah,
Right?
it is.
So like, I think you'd be punished for doing that stuff. And maybe
Yeah.
that's what in the. Oh, so it is split.
it
So
say?
that other angle didn't show us like this.
There wasn't this like real split here. This.
So allegedly, this is the rock that Moses split.
Did
with
it
his
say
staff.
where it was?
Well, it's modern day Saudi Arabia,
Okay.
but originally it was the rock of Horeb, Horeb.
Exodus is such a great book
Yeah.
in the Old Testament. Like
Yeah.
the image of the mountain as God is speaking to the
Yeah.
people, and they're all afraid.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I love about
Yeah.
it so much is that Moses, who's refusing to be a public speaker in the beginning, right, and then Aaron has to kind of be his mouthpiece. God's like, well, if you can't do it, then Aaron, your brother's going to do it, and he ends up being the public speaker. And then Moses, after we know he doesn't want to speak to anyone because he's afraid, then it becomes the only person who's going to talk to God.
Yeah.
Of
it's,
all.
It's a book that's full of life and humanity. I mean, like, right down to maybe even modern day Jewish culture, because you know he leads. Of course, the big problem is that like he leads these people out of Egypt, and they're reluctant the whole way.
Yep.
And then they get to the sea. The Egyptians are after them.
Yep.
And then, like in true Jewish comedy fashion, they say, "You brought us out here to like have graves in the desert.
Yeah.
Like at least we had bread,
Right.
You know,
It's
I mean,
a
like,
Curb Your Enthusiasm episode.
it is.
Like,
It
they're
is.
like, oh,
It is.
man, yeah.
Curb Your Enthusiasm. You see, like in my mind, like the perfect Moses casting for a movie about this authentically is Woody Allen. Like, he doesn't want to talk. He doesn't want to be the guy that's like the leader. But Woody Allen is is the
Right.
quintessential Moses.
Right. I
if
can't
you're
help
casting
it.
this
I
movie.
think of Mel Brooks because the
Yeah,
history
yeah,
of the
yeah.
world,
That's
when he
good
comes down
too.
with the 3 tablets.
Yeah, yeah.
The one drops. He's like, I have 15.
To
And it
10.
drops. Oh, 10 commandments.
Right.
It's great comedy. Great comedy. But yeah, no, it is.
Yeah.
It's comedic. Like there's a lot
It
of
is.
humor.
I
in
think
that.
actually what they actually, like the Hebrew says, what did they run out of grave space in Egypt?
Such a good.
That's
such
perfect.
A good sentence.
Yeah.
Such a good image.
It is.
Yeah, there's
It is.
so much good
Yeah.
imagery in like the mountain kind of on fire with the
Yeah.
lightning and how it scares everybody, and then the whole idea of the false idol. I mean, that is so relevant to
Yeah.
today and people
Yeah.
creating false idols, and that's why God is mad at you. And Moses is upset. Moses doesn't even make it into the promised land at the end, right?
No, he doesn't.
It's
He's denied the
crazy.
promised land.
It's
yeah.
crazy. After all that
Yeah.
wandering around, he's like, no.
That should be a beacon of hope for anybody that's in the throes of sin. Is that like, I mean, Moses? I mean, like, who is a better leader? In terms of Jewish and Christian lore than Moses, and yet he was denied access
Right.
to the promised land.
You think that's a beacon of hope?
I do.
How?
Yeah, because even if you can be face to face conversing with God,
Right.
and you can have so much. God can sign off on you, like David too, right? And still, you can like be denied.
Right. That sounds so sad, though.
It is sad, but at the same time, it's just like, okay, so you can be that close to God Himself, but we all fall short of
Right.
the glory of God.
Right. But he makes it into heaven. Like, don't we know Moses is in heaven from?
I would imagine so.
Isn't there? I forget what.
Yeah.
In the New Testament, it is. I'm forgetting. There's a part where they're on the mountain, and I believe the
He's
person
he's one of the ones.
is one of the ones, right?
Right.
Yeah. And there's a lot of witchcraft in the Bible. Not a lot, but there's.
Yeah. Well, there's
Samuel.
things that we can't explain.
Right. Well, there's necromancy, right?
In Samuel, right?
Samuel.
Right, that's true.
He raises the dead to speak. As
Yes.
a witch raised someone from the dead.
Well, yeah,
That's a no-no,
yeah.
right?
But she's shocked that actually somebody that is the spirit of a person that lived
Right.
actually appears.
It's the best,
Yeah.
ever written.
Yeah,
I
it
love
is.
it. I've been on a Jonah kick. I think I told you that recently.
Yeah,
I reread it constantly because
Right.
that to me is a comedy.
It is.
It is an old like hilarious comedy. This guy whose God is told, "Go tell Nineveh, I'm going to destroy them." If
He
they
was
don't
just
get it
like,
right.
fuck Nineveh.
like, I'm not doing that.
anything but that.
Yeah, God, I love you, but I'm not going anywhere near that. It's like a crazy place. And he like takes on a boat. He goes in the opposite direction. And then God's like ruining the ship and he's making the waves go crazy. And then the people are like, who's doing this? And they're like, it's him. It's this guy, Jonah.
Yeah.
Throw him overboard in a big fish for 3 days. And it's one of my favorite sentences in the entire Old Testament. Then the fish vomited him on the ship. Depending on what translation you go with. I love that.
And then he goes there. He, testifies to these people.
Yeah.
They repent.
Yeah.
He's furious that they repent.
It's hilarious.
And then he goes and he sits under this tree that like God makes come out of the, and
it
he's
withers.
just like, and he's so angry that the tree withers.
Yeah.
He's just like, why?
Yeah.
And God is just like, look, that tree didn't make itself, but it gave you shade. And meanwhile, there's 150,000 people that can't tell their right hand from their left hand.
Yes. Yeah. Even animals too.
Yeah.
Remember, it ends with like a weird way of like.
Yeah,
this-
yeah.
It's hard to know exactly like the interpretation, like why the animals.
That's
so
why the
good.
Bible is so fascinating because it
Yeah.
gives us this unbelievable insight into the mind of God.
Yeah.
And it's just like that mind is indescribable,
As
indecipherable.
it should be. As it
Yes,
is,
yeah. But
Well,
but
that
it's
makes
our
sense.
only like dim map
Yep.
that we have.
Yep, yep.
And yet we have it.
It's amazing journalism, but it's also like completely
Luke,
abstract.
Luke is an amazing journalist.
Right.
Luke is the
Right,
best journalist
right,
in the
right.
Bible.
Why
Yeah.
is Luke your favorite?
Because he kept it to the facts.
Yeah.
Like because Matthew is chasing the historical meaning of like the Messiah.
Right.
Mark is he's factual, but he's also kind of like skipping out on some key things that Luke brings out. And like Luke is a doctor,
Right.
so he's like a doctor in like 2,000 years ago, so he has to keep things as accurate as possible.
Yeah.
He's a Gentile.
Yep.
From what I've read, he's not a Jew.
Right.
So he doesn't have access to the stuff that means a lot to Matthew.
Right.
John is piped in. John is like the David Lynch of the Bible. Like John is like piped into like hallucinogenic.
Yeah.
Like
That's so
he's the
funny.
apostle. It's just like there's a woman in trouble. like
funny.
he's the one that's just like in a different stratosphere of like conscious thought. Luke is the journalist.
Right.
He's the doctor. He's the one that understands what's happening, and he can explain it very well. And he's the most reliable out of all of
That's
them.
why I love that it's chosen like that, to have
Yeah.
all those perspectives
Yes.
on the same thing.
Yeah.
Because that's, I talk about like cubism. I kind of mean it like that.
Right.
Right. It's like the same. You and I, we talk about this a lot, where like Picasso would, when he's doing cubism, he would take a vase on the table and paint it from every angle. He'd walk around the table.
Yeah.
And when I read all the different accounts
Yeah.
of Jesus, in the gospel, it's people just taking their own perspectives in their own corners.
Right.
You can judge, or not judge, but like compare and contrast.
Right.
And you're
Right.
getting all these different angles. I love that. That's the choice, with the book. It's incredible.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Do you talk about transcribing or translating the Bible at all?
Yeah. I spent 3 years.
Yeah.
Basically, learning as much as I could about Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek. Because my whole vision was just like, if the Bible wasn't 1,000 pages, I mean, nobody reads anymore at all now. But like 8 years ago, I was thinking that people might still want to read.
Right.
I was just like, nobody's going to read a 1,000-page book, but if I could get it down to 200 easy to read pages, just like distill all the chapters in the Bible into 8 chapters, just like kind of like segment it and make it very easy to read, then more people might read it.
Yeah.
The idea was just like to get the Bible, the message, the word
I loved reading
out
it.
to more people.
Yeah.
And make it simpler.
Yep.
So yeah, I spent a few years.
Where can they
Right.
find that?
Yeah.
Huh? It was on Amazon. I self-published it. It's called Kingdom Come. That was my best title to describe what this book is without calling it the Bible, which means lots of books.
Right.
But and that was what I really tried to do, was kind of like figure out what the spine of the narrative is. And I do think that it is one pretty solid spine to that 1,000 pages in the Bible. It's just like from Genesis to Revelation. It's kingdom. It's about the kingdom that failed, and the kingdom that's to come. So that's why I arrived at Kingdom Come.
Yeah, I think I even quote it in the Inverted World
You did,
book, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, you
It's
did.
in the
Yeah,
Georgia one.
We talked about that.
Because there's so much about all
Yeah.
the conversations down there were really, and this is before I was a believer, right?
Sure.
And that book, that experience had a profound impact on me. All those people, like
Really?
the Brantleys and everything, and like you're like meeting all this crazy evil throughout time. And I think it was the story of the guy in the very beginning of that book where there's this guy who was like an evil man, like an innkeeper, and he would actually make mudslides. And this is like the 1700s, because he believed that he'd ruin their wagons and they'd have to stay at his inn, right? And he ends up repenting, and then he ends up being buried standing up below ground, holding a rifle and a jug of whiskey, should he ever meet the devil. And so I was like really on this kick of like, I got to read more of the Bible.
Yeah.
And I was talking to you about it because you were editing it, and
Right.
Revelation. I think that's part of Revelation, putting in there, because there's so much talk of evil in that town.
Sure.
And people have all these like crazy psychic visions, according to them. And like there was that guy who kept contacting me who was like, the world's gonna end. I just had a dream about a giant skyscraper-sized Satan, like conquering our town.
Yeah.
It was wild. It was wild. What was it? I want one last thing for you. Oh yeah, this is real niche, but I want to bring it up. I have a new theory on Pynchon.
Okay.
And for those who don't know, Thomas Pynchon is.
I've been arguing all day with a guy about inherent
Are you
vice.
serious? Are you serious?
With inherent vice. I've been arguing all day
story of my
with
life.
this guy
Wait,
about
you like it?
inherent vice.
You like it or you don't like it?
I despise that movie.
Oh,
it is
really?
unwatchable. It is
I like it.
unwatchable.
I like it.
Why do you like it? Why? The
maybe
opening
just
scene
because-
is stillborn. It's
Yeah.
stillborn.
Maybe because it just felt good to see like a interesting Pynchon on screen. That's
I was
probably it.
high as fuck when I
Yeah.
watched that movie.
Yeah.
We saw it together. We were both high as
I
fuck.
fell
Really?
asleep.
It was
Really?
so high.
Yeah.
Perfect state of mind to watch this movie.
Yeah.
And awful.
Yeah, it doesn't
stops.
capture the paranoia. I
Doesn't
saw
capture
it
the
when I
paranoia.
saw it in theaters. I saw it in Manhattan. We were still living in Brooklyn, and I just dropped Nancy off at work in Times Square, and I was like, "Oh, Inherent Vice is out. I love that book. I love Thomas Pynchon." And I went, and it was completely empty. No one's there except for one random man one random man walks in, and I'm like,
is it Pynchon?
I wouldn't be able to know. I wouldn't know because
Yeah,
no one knows, he's a recluse. People like no one knows really what he looks like. There's possibly young pictures of him, but no one really knows what he looks like because he's a recluse. But that's what I told myself. I was like, that's Pynchon. So maybe that's why my experience was elevated, because I felt like I was watching it with Pynchon. But now I'm like, what if
How
there's no...
high was you?
Not at all. At that point, I'd been out of that whole phase of my life. But now I'm like, what if there is no Pynchon at all? And what if he's
Chris,
been like...
did you speak to him?
I did. I did talk to him.
But maybe you just talked to someone who's...
No, like I got his number off the internet. I paid $1.95 for his number because I could look it up. This was in 2008. You could actually look up people's numbers, and I looked it up, and I got Thomas Pynchon, Manhattan number, called it. And then after I talked to him, I destroyed the number so I would remove the temptation for calling him again.
So respectful.
And I should have kept it. What a moron.
No.
I was really high too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm like, maybe what if he was AI all along? And like the government's had AI longer than we know.
God.
And
I think
they
about
put
that
together
now.
books. I'm like looking at all these books. I'm like, did people even write some of these? Or did just like some robot that the government's had forever in a basement pumping out books and creating like, as like Elon's an actor to me. Like they're just creating all these characters to take over the world.
That's really plausible.